Alright, so we are working on day 2 of our winter tree moonscapes, and today we are going to be painting our trees and then adding some snow to go along with our trees. We've talked about foreground, middle ground, background, and the horizon line. So our first tree is going to be in the foreground, and it needs to extend all the way from the bottom to the top of our paper to show that it's in front and it's the biggest thing on our paper. So we are going to start off by drawing the base of the tree close to the very bottom of the paper down here in the foreground. So this is going to be the tree trunk right here that I have. And then I'm going to also make sure to mark off that the top of my tree is way up here at the top of my paper to show how big it really is. Alright, then I'm going to draw in the rest of my tree. Now today when we are painting our trees, we are going to paint them all black because this is a moonscape, so this is nighttime and you don't really see all the details in the color during the nighttime. So when we paint, we will just be using black to fill in our trees. And so my tree is going from the top to the bottom of my paper, and now I'm going to be ready to paint. And notice that part of my tree is going off the side of my paper, and that's something that you can do as well. Alright, so when we are painting, we are going to be using our red paintbrushes for our black paint and our green paintbrushes for our white paint. Also, one more thing to add in. The reason I chose to put my tree on this side of my paper is because it's not covering up my moon. And then I also had a few dots of paint that got onto my white of my ground, so I decided to cover that up with my black paint. Alright, so I have my red paintbrush. I'm ready to fill in my evergreen tree. Alright, so I'm dipping into my black paint. And if you are trying to do some detail work with your red paintbrush and you just want to be using the edge of it to make some lines like this, make sure that you just dip your paintbrush in this way and you don't cover your entire brush. If you're only going to be making some lines with for some details, don't put too much paint onto your brush. Alright, so you might outline your tree by using the edge of your paintbrush just to start, and then you might use the side of your paintbrush to fill in with that black. And notice how I'm using just short, choppy brush strokes for this evergreen tree. That way when I fill it in, it just looks like natural looking tree branches. Not making it like perfect triangle shape or anything like that. So that's one option that you could do as well. Just kind of those short, choppy brush strokes to show the layers of your evergreen tree. And I'll come down here and fill in that little bit of my tree trunk that you can see. Okay, so now I am drawing my trees that are going in my background by my horizon line. Make sure that the base of your tree starts below your horizon line. I'm just going to do one. You're welcome to do more than one if you would like or if you have room. But I'm going to start mine a little bit below my horizon line and just have that tree come up, and it's just going to be a simple tree. Remember, less details when you get to the background. So this is just going to be kind of a bare tree with some different Y-shaped branches coming out of it, and some of them will overlap. I'm just drawing this in with a marker so that it is easier for you to see. You can draw this with a pencil. Alright, so now that I have drawn it in, I am going to again use my red paintbrush. And especially for this type of tree, I'm just going to be using the very tip of my paintbrush. So just getting a little bit of paint, barely dipping into that, and using it this way to go ahead and paint in this simple tree that is going into my background. And this is a great way to use your brush to get this smaller area filled in if you're just using the end That way you can get those details. Alright, so after your trees have been painted in with black, you are then going to be taking your green paintbrush and using that to paint in your white snow. And you might be adding snow onto the branches of your tree where the snow might catch and sit if it falls, or onto your evergreen kind of on the edges, and I'll show you where some good places to make your snow might be. The other thing that you can do is take the end of your paintbrush, dip it into your paint just a little bit at a time, and make some dots of snow in your background. And that can kind of be, you're just stamping that color on in different sizes as you turn your brush. You might even do it over top of your tree, depending on what you would like to do. So I'm going to kind of fill my background with that. And then even on top of this tree, I might put some little dots of snow to make it look like it is snowing if you would like to do that. So just kind of filling my background with that. Alright, then once you have finished that, there are paper towels in your bins. Please make sure that you just wipe that paint off of the end of your paintbrush. Alright, and you can do that first or second. The other thing that you are doing with this green paintbrush is adding that white paint to make it look like there's some snow kind of setting on your tree. And with the evergreen, you might do a similar kind of just like loose brushing effect, where you just find some different places where you'll have snow sit on top. Make sure that your white isn't mixing in with your black if your black is still a little bit wet. So I'm just going to kind of scribble in some areas where like this layer of the tree is, to show where the different layers of my tree is and where the snow might catch, kind of on the edges. Nice short choppy brush strokes where you might see that snow. Okay, and then the other place that you can go ahead and put some snow if you have a tree more like this is where those Ys meet, like in that that crack where those Ys meet in the middle. That's where some extra like tufts of snow might go ahead and sit. So that's where you might put a little pile of snow at, where that snow might catch. You might even put a little bit on one side of your tree, put a little white on the side of your tree where the wind is blowing the snow onto the tree. Otherwise, just kind of in these little cracks. And again, if you have too much paint on your brush, I would wipe it off. If you're trying to get these details in smaller areas, go ahead and wipe that off and only dip very gently into your paint if you are trying to just get those small areas painted in with that white snow. Alright, so once you have your snow landed and laying on your tree where you would like it to be, then you may sign your artwork, put it on the drying rack, and clean off your brushes. Good luck!